Welcome, everybody. This is Karen. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes. The presentation today is a little bit longer. I try to keep them to half an hour. I've got a few extra slides today. I didn't want to just give you the features. I wanted to kind of show you how to use them as well. So I got a lot of ground to cover. As usual, if you have any questions, just drop them into the Q&A and I'll be looking at them. Can I have a thumbs up emoji if you can hear me okay and if you can see my screen? Or if you could just simply type something in the Q&A that says, yes, I can hear you. I can see your screen. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Tina. And if you're new to Zoho meetings, they do have these little emojis that are kind of cute. If you go down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the little emoji thing, and you can, if you like something, give a thumbs up. If you don't like something, you could give a thumbs down. But they are kind of fun to play with. Yeah, see, there you go. You found that little thumbs up. I love those. And again, I'm going to be covering a lot of material today. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask them. I'll be checking the Q&A from time to time. If I say something incorrectly or something you don't understand, or if you're wondering if a feature that I show you will apply to you, just go ahead, type it in the Q&A, and I will do my best to answer all your questions. Okay, I'm showing that it's noon and we are going to start. And today I'm going to talk about 10 undiscovered features. Maybe you've discovered them, maybe you haven't. I am going to share something very embarrassing, which I don't normally do. But one of the features is something that is so basic, and I've been using Zoho for probably 7 or 8 years now. And I probably knew about it at one point, but forgot. So even, when they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, even this old dog learned something. And I was kind of embarrassed, especially, I know a lot of you will probably say, I already knew that one, but hopefully you'll be learning some other, cool new features. Okay. So again, I've been using Zoho for a while. What have I missed? I don't know if any of you are Hamilton fans, but they always have this picture of, Jefferson up on the stage. What have I missed? When he comes back to the United States from France, but what have you missed? So I'm so glad you asked. So the first thing we're going to talk about is integrations. And basically, do you have 2 or more software applications with overlapping data? Well, you kind of know the answer to that question if you're adding information in 2 places. That means they're overlapping. You might be able to link them with Zoho CRM. And one of the best places to see if it's 2 ways we can link things. We can use a custom integration. We could use an out-of-the-box integration. And the best way to check if there's something available is to check in that marketplace. So again, those of you that have been on these webinars before, I sound like an old record, but we hit the setup key, which is either the flower for you ladies or the gear shift for you guys. And we go into the marketplace area. So when we go into the marketplace area, we can look at all extensions. And you can actually search. So if there's a specific app or product that you're using right now, there might be an existing integration for it. That's where I'd start. So type in the name of the integration. I get people all the time that say, oh, we use this, we use that. And honestly, there's so many applications, on the marketplace today. I don't know all of them, but I do know if you go in there and search, you might find an application that you're looking for. So if you're using an existing phone service, for example, go on there and type the name of the phone service. I typed in telephony. I could have also typed in phone services or VoIP and found things. And, here's just an example of the phone systems. I think there's 400 and some companies that have integrations to Zoho. Other Zoho products, because don't forget, they're free with Zoho One. Some of you are just using Zoho CRM, and that's fine. You can buy these products separately. But if you have Zoho One, you might go down there and say, hey, there's a survey program. I forgot. I'm getting that for free. Why aren't I using that? So go into those Zoho apps in the marketplace and get an idea of what some of these applications are. Some of you might have heard of Slack. I kind of laugh because Salesforce bought it for, I think, a couple of $1 billion a couple of years ago. We've been using Click with Zoho CRM. Oh gosh, it's probably the last 7 or 8 years. So if you've got remote users and you don't want to just email them, this is an instant messaging service. You've got your surveys, all kinds of fun things in there. Go forth and look at them. Any of your existing products that have an API interface can be integrated back to Zoho. So we have a number of ways to do that. We have things that are called webhooks. We have the Zoho Developer Council. We have the Catalyst program. We have all kinds of ways. So, the magic word is kind of REST API. So if there's some back office product that you're using, ask the company, hey, do you guys work with REST API? If they do, even if you're not a programmer, I know one that can get your two products talking to each other so that you're not doing double entry, which none of us like to do. Okay, any of your existing products that have that API interface, MySQL products are typical examples. Access, some of you have Access databases. Good old ACT uses SQL Server. And yes, I have configured ACT to talk to Zoho CRM for people that aren't ready entirely to leave ACT, but they need to get their data, into Zoho. And again, there might be a solution on the marketplace for common ones like Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. I don't know if we call that Twitter or X. Zapier is a product. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it's a paid service, but Zapier is kind of like coding with training wheels. So if you are using some integration like Facebook or whatever, and you're not a big programming person, you could use Zapier to use those integrations. And again, some versions of Zapier are free and some are not. Connor, I just unmuted you. Can you hear me okay? And can you speak?
I can hear you, Karen. Do we have an audience here?
Awesome. So as all of you have been attending these webinars in the past know, Missy, I very often take people, usually people that ask me a question on the day prior to the webinar. I go, I'm so glad you asked. And I make them kind of my co-presenter. So Connor's one of those people. He didn't really ask for this position, but I said, hey, Connor, what are you doing tomorrow at 12? And he very kindly agreed to be kind of our voice of reason and to ask questions and to correct me if I say things that are wrong. Now, Connor has a very hard reputation to live up to because past people that we've had on this call have been Jake, who installs playground equipment for a living. Last meeting, we had George, who has worked with the ice cream all his life. So, Connor, what exactly do you do for a living?
Yeah, thanks, Karen. So, I've had the pleasure of working with you for several years now, and I'm actually an employee at Zoho. So I take care of partner account management at Zoho. Just recently celebrated my 7-year anniversary there. So things are going well, and I've enjoyed working with Karen, and she's awesome. So looking forward to hearing out the webinar, and mostly gonna sit back and watch and learn myself. I'm not on the technical side, but I would love to be involved here.
Yeah, and Connor is great because he's in San Francisco. I'm on the East Coast, and there's times that Oh, I've gotten text messages from him at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. I'm thinking, oh, this guy's going to hate me. But he always, he's always been very nice. And I would like you all to give a little thumbs up if you were one of the people that got two or three free months of service, because Connor is the one that gave it to you. So yeah, y'all all should really like Connor because he's the one that gave you that free service. Okay, there you go. Show some love for Connor.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so the second thing that I want to talk about is scalability. So we have these different modules. We have leads, we have contacts, we have accounts. You don't have to use those modules, guys, and you can rename them. So some people like to call their leads prospects, and some people like to call them accounts. Some people don't want to use them at all, but they're all interconnected. And the way this works, some of you that were using ACT had various databases. You had a separate database for basically all your leads. You'd buy a list, you'd go to a trade show, you'd put it in a separate ACT database. Or you say to me, hey, can I have two databases in Zoho? Well, you really don't need to. You could put all those leads into the leads database. And if you want, you can rename it. You could call it trade show attendees. You could call it whatever you want. And you can, if you don't want to use it, you could take it off of your tab groups. Your tab groups are these things that appear across the top. If you've customized your tab groups, you can click all tabs and it'll take you right there to the tab area. Or you could go into your tab groups. My tab is appropriately called Karen, for lack of a better name. And if I didn't want leads, I could just uncheck it. So you can have these things show. You don't have to have those things showed. And again, contacts are associated with your accounts and your deals. So if you have a lead and you want to promote it, then you could attach to existing account or a deal. And your accounts are where you would have multiple contacts. If you're doing more of a B2C business where you're working with consumers instead of businesses, maybe you don't need accounts. I've had other people that have renamed accounts to hospitals because they only work with hospitals, or properties because they're in commercial real estate. But the sky's the limit as far as using these modules. You can also create child accounts, or I don't know if I should say children accounts, to designate divisions. So maybe you're working with American Express, but you want to be able to designate Fort Lauderdale versus San Francisco. We can do that. So we want to use those modules. I know it's a new thought process for some of you. So another thing that you should be using are lookup fields. Something we didn't have in ACT, something that's super cool, something I absolutely love. There's two kinds of lookup fields. One is just a basic lookup field, and the other one is called a multi-select lookup field. So a lookup field is a one-to-one relationship. Maybe you're working with a contact and you want to relate him to a class, or you want to relate him to a lawyer or a referral source. That'd be a lookup field. A one-to-many is maybe you're working with a contact and you want to relate him to 4 different people, which would be all his little children or his siblings. If you want to relate one customer to multiple insurance companies, that's the idea of a multi-select dropdown. And we can also recreate those fields, base them on a subset. So if you're just looking to see a lawyer and you got 250 lawyers in your system as contacts, you can say, okay, relate this to a lawyer and just see a list of your lawyer so you don't have to go through every contact in your database. Now, user fields, and this is one of my, close your ears, Connor, this is one of my pet peeves. I can tell when they've added new features, and it's not, I don't like when features don't work quite the same. We could do the same thing for user fields, but it works a little bit differently. So you can see here, I've got a screenshot of what it looks like when I take my user field, drag it over to my layout. When I create a user field, I can have a list of users, and I can either have that list be a single user or multiple users. So instead of having 2 different field types, I just have one. But once I get into that field, I can see the list. I mean, I know a lot of you did this in ACT. You had a list of your sales reps. And this is, just great to be able to not have to create a new dropdown. It automatically populates from your list of active users. So if you need to see a project manager, in ACT, we had a record manager. Zoho has a contact owner, but you might need more of your users, project manager. That's when you would use these lookup and user fields. Custom modules. What in the world is a custom module? In ACT, they were called tables. And custom tables, a lot of you didn't have because one, they were only added about maybe 7 years ago in ACT. And two, you had to pay for them. It was $120 per user per year. And you couldn't just have one user. All users had to pay for it. So some of you that are in bigger companies that had you have 10, 20, 30 employees, you would have had to pay that 120 times the number of users. But here are signs that you need a custom module. And don't laugh. This is the kind of stuff I see every day. You're adding multiple contacts. I just worked with somebody who had, this is a scary thought, she does classes. And if Karen had signed up for 8 classes, Karen was in her database 8 times. If the thought of one Karen is scary, the thought of 8 Karens is super scary. I had another client, they did mortgages and they had a lot of repeat business. So if somebody signed up for 4 mortgages, they were in their database 4 times. I have other people that create this infinite loop of fields. At the end of the year, they delete all the information out of a set of fields. And that set of fields might be a dozen fields. It might be 200 fields. They delete all the information out of those fields, and then they have to fill them in again. Or they're constantly adding new fields. Oh, here's my fields for 2025. Oh, here's my fields for 2026. So if you find yourself in any of those situations, you need a custom module. Custom modules, the most common scenarios, if you're doing some kind of event management and you want to know the attendees to a trade show or the attendees to a class, maybe you're working with property, you're a commercial real estate person. And I got one person on this call, not wanting to point any fingers, but he had multiple contacts in there. He had properties and he would have the same person managing maybe 8 of his properties. So she was in the database 8 times. You know who you are. You may turn red. I will not mention your name, but I know you're on this call. We have subscription membership. I'm working with one company that's a gym and they want to have various members and their subscription status for the gym. Recruiters, maybe they have an opportunity. They want to relate that opportunity to back to the company that supplied the opportunity or the candidates. When we make those custom modules, I know I sound like a broken record. You hit that little rosebud up at the top or the gear shift for you guys in the crowd. You go to customization, modules and fields. As soon as you get there, you're going to see that create new module. This is not rocket science, although it's getting easier if you've moved up to CRM for everyone. Supposedly, I haven't tried it yet. Any of you want to be, kind of on the cutting edge? Supposedly, you could create these custom modules using AI. I think that's pretty cool. But basically, for the rest of us, we give it a plural name and a singular name. So what are we going to call that module? Well, the module might be a list of classes. A single one would be a class. And then you want to use that multi-select lookup field, drag it over to that custom module, and you're going to select some properties. And basically the properties are, when I look at this class module, what do I want to call the participants? And when I look at an individual, what do I call the classes that they've attended? So that's why you're naming these, what they call related lists there. And that's how difficult it is to create a custom module. Not. Okay, automation and workflows. These are something, again, we had nothing like this in ACT. They tried to do smart tasks. It was a failure, and they finally, I think we moved it from the program maybe 5 or 6 years ago. We had an ACT marketing automation. We had a little bit of automation, but it was based on basically emails and email campaigns. There are certain things you want to do. This is from my own database. I will share with you, sorry, again, close your ears, Connor. I will share with you that I am very anal. I do not like my phone numbers to be in various ways. I want my phone numbers to have parentheses and a dash. I don't want just spaces. I don't want dots. I want them all the same way. So I actually created a workflow for my phone numbers. So when I put in a phone number, I don't have to put in the dashes, don't have to put in the spaces. It will automatically fix it. And that is a workflow that I created. And if you went into this workflow, you would see that whether it's a mobile phone, my regular phone number, another phone number, or my home phone number, those are the 4 phone fields I have in my contacts, it will run this function. I know that doesn't seem like a great example. For me, it works. I also have one called copy fields. And what this does is if I have an account and it puts certain fields in the account, I want it to copy that information down to the individual associated contacts. That's me. That's what I did. So these are some of my automations that I've done. Some of them are a little bit simpler. I have under here, you can see I've got my functions. Here's my various functions. If I went into those, in fact, it's kind of cool. They even show you if they're not working. You can go in here and you can see if any of my functions have stopped working because maybe I made changes into the software. I kind of like that. I also like that I can go into my admin tools. You can hit setup, data administration, admin tools. And I could see how often I can look at my various workflows, make sure I'm working on them. There is one person on this call who went a little crazy with workflows when he first started. I think he created about 220 of them and half of them weren't working. So we went in here to see which ones were still active and working. And Connor, this is the one I wrote for you recently, so I wouldn't have to call you frantically on a Sunday night. Notify Connor to move people from trial so we could get the billing straight. So I am thinking of you. So that's a workflow. This one simply just sends me an email to remind me to bug Connor about something. You know, it sounds silly, but it's better than waiting to the last minute.
Yeah, and another strength with workflows, just want to input here is that, Zoho is, one of our biggest strengths is the automation and, just the efficiency that you can, achieve with Zoho CRM. A lot of the conversation does resolve around, Zoho CRM, but Zoho also has, a bundle called Zoho One. And, it includes, 55, 60 of our other products. And the big thing with us is, you can integrate with our other products like email campaigning, desk, right? So there's other products that we can integrate and put into those workflows that typically you'd be paying for outside, software costs as well that kind of come included almost the same, cost as our CRM. So we're really on the side of, evolving our product, improving it and adding it rather than kind of taking away or adding costs on top of it.
And those of you that work with me know that I'm very cheerful. I'm very good. I know CRM, but I am not a programmer. The bad news, some of these things may need a bit of custom programming. The good news is I have a great programmer on my staff, and he speaks Carinese, which is great. So when I tell him what I want, he can actually understand it. So I am not going to pretend that I did this. And I think a couple of you have reached out to Zoho support and said, hey, I want to do this, or another thing. And they gave you a script like this and you didn't know what to do with it. And this is where you put them into those automations. And if, again, just kind of looking at the script, basically you see I have one for contacts, I have one for accounts. And if you look at the phones, it's basically just saying, okay, after 3 characters, put in some parentheses. So this is the kind of script that he did. You can see it doesn't look like it was hard or difficult. It didn't take him long to do it. But, if there is something that you want to automate, we can get it done. Or like Connor said, it might be there already if you're just trying to automate and move between products. Okay, the home page. Again, I don't like to sound like a broken record, but those of you that come from the ACT environment, you're not used to a home page. You maybe looked at your task list, you looked at, the opportunities. There's only so much you could do. The home page is just, and I got to tell you, it probably took me 3 or 4 years before I really got into the home page. I use it every day. It's the first place I go to. And the cool thing about it is you set it up for what you need to look at. So I go in and I look at today's meeting so I don't forget to do something. I look at my upcoming meetings. I look at my open tasks. What do I still have to do? And here's one that, popped up. Oh, I have to turn off some off-site billing. And I think this person's actually on the call, and I will be reaching out to Connor about it shortly. My recently created leads, I get a lot of traction off of my website, and I want to make sure I reach out to those people. So this is the kind of stuff that I want to see. And again, you could go into the if you already have some various dashboards, you could go up here, you could pick a dashboard or go into customize your dashboards, or you can go in the customization area in Zoho, go to customize homepage. It's totally customizable. And again, I've shown this in previous webinars. If you took a report and made it into a dashboard, you can plunk that right onto your the homepage, or if you have a custom view, again, you can plunk that onto your homepage. I'm not real big on charts, but I'm huge on custom views. So I took some of these custom views that I have and I just put them on my homepage so I could see right off the top of my head, where my renewals are, who are the contacts that I need to be contacting today. Okay. AI capabilities. This is for those of you that have moved to CRM for everyone. That's a big push that they're doing now is AI, and some of the capabilities you need to move to that new interface to get use of all the AI. But there are still a lot of AI capabilities in the older interface that a lot of you just take for granted or don't notice. One of my favorites is down at the bottom of your screen. You have this thing that's Zaya down here, and you also see Ask Zaya right here. This one, if you click on it, it will kind of show you a rundown of what you've done during the day. Like, you sent this email, you have this call, you have this meeting, because sometimes we get busy during the day and you forgot something that you did earlier in the day, just a little rundown. And I go in there after a particularly busy day to see what I might have missed or what I need to follow up on. You also have this Ask Zaya, which is really cool. A lot of you like to do Ask Karen, and Ask Karen is pretty good. She answers you eventually, usually by the end of the day, with your questions. But you can go into Ask Zaya and say, hey, how do I find a report that does this or that? What's the best way to add my email signature to the bottom of my email? Some of these questions that you reach out to Ask Karen, you could ask Zaya, and it will automatically give you the answer. And I think that's cool. Email. I take this one with a grain of salt. And Miss Missy, this is your record because I've used it before. I can go in when I'm going to write a customer an email, and I get an idea if I see sad faces or if I see happy faces. I may kind of change my tone and my attitude a little bit depending on how they've been feeling. Now, I take this with a grain of salt because you notice down here, she had a complaint. Now, you have to know Missy to understand that only she could have a complaint, but it would come across as happy. So I'm not quite sure how you could happily have a complaint, but so that's why I say I take it with a grain of salt. But it's kind of neat to be able, you find things like that sprinkled in Zoho. Another one is enrich data. Okay, she's laughing. Thank you, Miss Missy. You can see that this enriched data is located two places, with your accounts and in your contacts. If you're in an account, you want to make sure that you have a website because it's going to base that on their URL. So if you don't have someone's website in there, this feature is probably not going to work too well for you. If you have an email, if they have a Yahoo email or a Google email, it's not going to work well for you. But if you have a company email address, just go up to your little actions, those three little dots and little ellipses, and hit enrich data, or for the contacts, hit the ellipsis and hit enrich data. And what it's going to do is it's going to scour the internet. Now, this was an old contact I hadn't really, updated in a while. And it was kind of cool because they gave me a different account name than what I already had. So I'm like, either I'm working with a different division or they might have changed their name. That does happen. It gave me the full website, which is not that big a deal, but it lets you pick which pieces you want. I didn't have a billing street. I found a billing street, but then I noticed, different city and state. So am I working with the rep that's out of a different city and state, or is this their new corporate headquarters? So it's kind of cool that I can update my information. It will tell me industries, just gives me all kinds of information that I can go easily find an address, find out where they're located, click update, and I'm done. And I can do it selectively. Cleaning up your database. I had for years on my phone message, have you remembered to set the ACT scheduler? Because the scenario in ACT was we had the ACT scheduler. It would create backups. It would do maintenance. A lot of you either didn't know about the ACT scheduler or you set it up and you didn't realize that a Windows update knocked it out. So then I literally I'd love to say I can make a grown man cry, but not at 8 o'clock in the morning when the grown man has just lost his entire database and he calls me up in tears. And it has happened to me. And typically what would happen is I'd say, no problem. You can't get into your database. No problem. We could repair it. Let's just get you a backup. Let's get your recent backup. I don't have one because they seem to go hand in hand. If people ran into data repair problems, they also didn't have backups. So this was not good. We also had people that would update their ACT version, and now I can't export to Excel, or my Outlook doesn't work, or something else broke. You don't have any of that with Zoho. We don't have to worry about the backups. We can get backups anytime you want, but you don't have to set anything. We don't have to worry about maintenance. We don't have those SQL wheels that need to be greased. It just works. But we do have duplicates. I don't know if a database, I've been doing this for a long time. I don't know if a database, including mine, that doesn't have duplicates, but we can merge duplicates. So we can do that in one of two ways. You can go up to your contact list, look at all your contacts in your list, hit your little action up here, your ellipsis, and find and merge duplicates. You can base it on whatever criteria you want, and then say find and merge them. And what's cool is it will do an auto merge, and it will also ask you if it has issues. So if you have two duplicates that are totally identical, it will merge the two together. Done. So if you have a lot of duplicates, it does it very fast. If you have two duplicates, one has a fax number and one has a mobile phone number, and they each have separate notes, it'll merge those two together. So you have one contact with a fax number, with a mobile number, and 4 notes. If there's any questions, it will give you a list of the questions, and you can hit view here and decide what you want to do to merge them. That may mean that they have different addresses, or they have different email addresses, or something is just not allowing it to merge and it wants you to do it manually. Now, another way that you can merge duplicates is you're looking up somebody's name. So here I'm looking up my old friend, Bill Cadbury. And of course, I put him in twice as William Cadbury and once as Bill Cadbury, because that's what I would do. And twice I used Cadbury as his company. And one time I used Cadbury Household in Birmingham, because that's what happens. And we all make mistakes. I'm not going to say I don't make duplicates, because I do. So in this case, I would pick one of the Cadburys, not quite sure which one I want to pick, but I'd pick one of them, and I'd hit that action key from his contact record and pick find and merge duplicates. So I can either do it from my whole contact list, or I can do it from an individual contact. Now, with all respect to Connor, I don't like what comes up. It comes up with these match any of the following criteria below: first name, last name, lead source. It gives me all these different options. Well, just William alone, I probably have 35 Williams in my database. So this doesn't work for me. So I can't just hit search. What I do instead is hit all those little minus keys, because maybe I just want to look it up by a company name, or by the last name. So I can hit minus for any of these others, and I can match any of the criteria to match all criteria below. So I said, okay, I just want to see someone that has the last name of Cadbury. The account name contains Cadbury because I put it in 3 different ways. And the phone number in this case are all the same. Probably don't even need that one. And I changed this to an and instead of an or. So I'm not looking for Williams or Cadbury's. I'm looking for William Cadbury's. I'm sorry, I'm looking for Cadbury's at Cadbury. And I hit search. And it came up with my 3 dupes. And I clicked them all and hit next. And then what it does is it gives you all 3 contacts. And you get to pick which is the main record you want to keep. I personally like to use the create time because I don't know why, but I like to know how long someone's been in my database. So I want to keep the older one, but the newer one might have better information. So I can go down the list at any time there's a discrepancy between the data, like, oh, maybe I want to keep record 2, but I'm going to call him William. Or maybe I'm going to keep record 3, but I'm going to call him Bill, and I'm going to keep this group membership field. So you can make your selections on whatever information you want to keep, and it will merge them together. Again, ACT had a deduplication. You could only do 2 at a time. This you can do 3 at a time, which is kind of nice. Territory management. Very misunderstood feature. Not one of my, I wish they would have done this a little bit differently, but territory management is not just geography. Territory management is designed to help you figure out groups of your contacts based on geography, industry, product line, revenue, or any other custom criteria you want. So as an example, in ACT, we had limited contact access and we had private contacts. Oh, how I hated those features. I don't know if you knew, but in ACT, each user could make private contacts. So Missy would have 3,000 contacts and Louise would have 3,015 contacts, and Annette would have 3,025 contacts. And we had to figure out why we didn't have the same amount of contacts. Well, because some of them were private. Even your lowly standard users in ACT could make contacts private. Typically, this is sales guys. They don't want to share their contacts. I get it. I understand. But we have a better way to do it in Zoho, and that's with territories. So say you have a sales guy, you have 3 sales guys, and heaven forbid that they would see each other's contacts. You can create 3 territories based on each sales guy. And what you want to do is you can assign multiple users to the same territory. So you can have the sales manager have access to all 3 sets of contacts, but the sales managers or the sales reps would not be seeing each other's contacts. So if you live in one of those worlds, territory is a great way to handle it. We also have rules for auto-defining. So we can do an auto assignment. So every time a new contact it gets added, it automatically gets put into this territory. Just so you understand, territories are set on accounts. That's what I don't like, but that's the way it works. So once you set that territory for an account, the related contacts and deals will also be assigned to that same territory. We don't set this on contacts, we set it on accounts. And again, we go into the setup, we go into the security control area, and we hit territory management to get there. Again, it only applies to accounts. And we go into territory management. We can create a new territory. I call this the Southeast territory. I can assign users to the territory. I can give them permissions. Do they get to just look at the stuff, or do they get to, do whatever they want, read, write, delete, and then I make a rule. Now, Karen was not thinking, because Southeast territory would not include New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or Connecticut, but we can pretend that this says Northeast. And I said, okay, if it belongs to one of these states, and notice I said, or if they are in New York or New Jersey or Pennsylvania, put them into this territory. So it's kind of an automated process. It's a really nice process. I haven't seen a lot of you guys using that yet. Our last feature, copying canvases. A lot of you have had me do that. Canvas is, we've talked about canvases. We can go into a canvas, and the way this works is it's your layouts. Remember your layouts in ACT? That's called a canvas in Zoho. So I can take your canvas, and I've created a couple of canvases that look like they're clones. I plagiarized, if you will, an ACT deal layout, an ACT lead layout, and an ACT contact layout. And if you say, hey, Karen, I'd really like to have those, I go in here and export it. I go into the detail view for my canvases. I export it, and it gives me this cockamamie key code. So I hit say, yes, I export it, I copy it. I can also go in here and manage keys because I do this all the time. So I may already have keys that are set up for, other layouts. And then I can go into this list and I can see these keys. I can open it up and I can copy those keys and I send them off to you. And what you do is you go into, again, this is the customization area of Zoho. You go into your canvases and you go into the detail view and you say, aha, I'd like to create a new layout or a new canvas. And you say, let me import it. So when you hit import, it's going to ask for that code, and you're going to put it in, and now you have that custom layout. So it's kind of cool. If a lot of you had very fancy layouts in ACT and you like your layouts, it's kind of neat to be able to create them somewhere else and share them with your buddy, share them with other people you may know, have me share them with you. In the same way, we can copy customizations, and this is a bigger copy. This one's going to copy your fields, your modules, your layouts, your templates, basically your entire database, except for your contact information. So maybe you have a buddy that's in the same business as you are, and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you all my customizations. Zoho's great. It's a great product for you. Here you go. You can have it. You might be a franchise. And you want to maybe give this to other people that you work with in the same franchise. I have a lot of people that sell Medicare, and it's just they've copied it, and some of them say, you know what, I'm going to share this with a couple of my other buddies. Others of them charge for it. They say, hey, $500, I'll give you all my customizations. Up to you. But the way it works is you go into data administration, copy customization, and you say, I want to receive, everybody would say this, I want to receive a customization, and it creates a key. Now you send, to send the customization, I have to get that key if I was sharing my customization, and I'm going to send the customization, and I'm going to copy in your key. That's how it knows to get to the right database. Then you go back to your end, or your buddy goes back to their end. It's going to say, hey, you received a customization from tech vendors. Do you want to initiate it? If any of you ever see something like you've received a customization from, you have no idea who the company is, you would reject it, because I don't know how that would happen. But if you don't know who it is, that's going to change all your fields and your drop downs and your layouts. But if you are sharing, you want to build this out to other people that may do the same thing you do, cool feature. Okay, I know I've run over, but I want to give you, and here is my, and Missy, you can laugh at me if you've already discovered this, because this is something I either I knew and I forgot about, or I just didn't realize. We've talked about templates a lot on various other webinars. And again, you go into your little setup gear, your Rosebud customization area, templates, and you can make a new template. And you all know, because I've pounded this into your head, that you use the pound key to get into your merge fields. And we've done that a lot. We've talked about contacts, and you have all your contact fields. So we can say, hi, Karen. Hi, Tony. And we can customize our templates. What I forgot about, ban on me, is that there's this little drop down next to contacts. And we can also bring in account fields, vendor fields, if you're using the vendor module, user fields, and organization fields. So in my case, I said, oh, darn, I'm going to bring in users. And I scroll down here and there's my signature. Seems really stupid, but I've been making my signatures one by one on all my templates. I totally forgot. I could just paste in my template. So Missy, have you been using that feature? I gotta know if I'm the only one that missed it. Okay, Missy, I'd love to know if you found that already, because I know you always find these things. But again, this is just a great feature. We can combine account features into a template with our regular our contact features. So it's a great feature. Our next bonus, do you know there's a recycle bin? What I had to go through an act if some of you deleted a contact, because some people delete contacts and they remember it or they realize it right away. Other people delete contacts and they don't find out about it until 2 weeks later. And in ACT, if I restored a backup, I would wipe out all last 2 weeks worth of data. So I had to restore a backup, give it a different name, find the contacts you lost, and then do an import export from this new database based on your backup into your production database. Usually that took about 2 days. It was not a fun thing to do. In Zoho, we have a recycle bin. And it's got this little, I call it a golf tee. That's supposed to be the filter button. You could go in there and filter, and you can say, oh, let me just find my contacts that I've deleted. Or you could give a specific name, because a lot of times I had one customer that deleted a couple of their key accounts. So you could go in and type in those accounts, and then you can pick whatever you see and you can restore it. Now, this only stays for 60 days, so don't wait on it if you deleted contacts, but you have a recycle bin. Use it. It's great. Third bonus, where do we find more information? It's all over the place, guys. Google things. Go into YouTube. There's lots of YouTube videos. All my prior sessions are posted at youtube.com/@Karen Fredericks. I'm a little back. I haven't done the last one yet, but I'll try to work on those this week. But I've got about 15 of the previous webinars all up there on YouTube. You could go into your own little profile picture, and you can just hit the need help area and go to resources. It's going to take you to videos. It's going to give you documentation, KB articles. You could sign up for training. There might be a training session coming to your area. So there's a lot of places that you can get additional information. Okay, as always, I'm looking for suggestions for future topics, tips and tricks that you've discovered that I might not have learned. Our future meetings starting in September. The new topics will be covered on the second Wednesday. The repurposed topics will be covered on the fourth Wednesday. Again, all the prior ones are out on my YouTube channel, so don't bug me to send them to you. They're out there on YouTube. Moving forward on 8/13, I'm going to cover 2 of the Zoho One apps, Zoho Social. This isn't that we're having a little social party. This is for social posting. Way, way cool, particularly if you use ChatGPT and have a paid account. And on 8/27, I'm going to take the week off and do something fun with my husband. So then we'll start up again in September. So do I have any questions? How do you run a report on a custom module? What you want to do on that custom module is make a custom report, because they're not going to be any out of the box reports, obviously, for your custom modules. You're going to need to make a custom report for that. That might be a fun thing to try. Jeez, you got me thinking here. I wonder if you could use the new interface and ask AI to create that report for you. But I did do a webinar on custom reports a couple of, I think it was last month. So you might want to look at that webinar, because it does go over how you create new custom reports. Okay, my question is regards to creating an automation on a field to automatically fill in the last email date sent. Okay, I don't think I would create an automation for the last email you sent because those dates, I mean, when you send email, you're probably either sending through Outlook or through Zoho Mail. If you're using Outlook, you need to have, like I showed you on that screen when I showed you my email. Let's see, go back here a ways to my email. Let me find it. Oops, there it is. You notice I have all my emails and I've got the date and time. So I don't necessarily need a last email filled to automatically fill it out. There are other ways that you can find that information besides creating a custom field. I don't think you need an automation for that. Okay, someone said we'd like to see them in a list. Are you talking, and I'm not sure who posted that question, is that you want to see that last email date for everybody that you sent? Probably what I would do there is look at your contact list and do a search, because you could search by email status and find everybody that you sent within the last 2 or 3 days, or within the last week, within the last month. So I probably would do it based on going into your contacts and doing a search on email, the email status field. All right. Got it. Okay. Any other questions? All right, guys. Thank you for attending. I look forward to seeing you in our next meeting when we talk about some of those cool Zoho One apps, two of my favorites. And if you have any questions, again, you always know where to reach out to me. If you, thank you. If you need any help, you always know where to find me, and feel free to reach out with your questions. But just realize you might be my next guinea pig. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.